Hey Yoga fam, Jessie here, live from my 3-season porch with the cats and the plants and the humidity. And what sounds like maybe some rain rolling in, which might be nice, maybe a little ASMR bonus here with our gentle and restorative yoga today. Yeah, if you're new to practicing with me, either online or just in general, welcome. My sweet cats usually stay for most of class. And today we're gonna need either 2 blankets or 2 towels, or more. If you have more, please help yourself to as many as you want, but we're gonna use at least 2. They can be beach towels, they can be like nice blankets you can roll up, a pillow or a bolster or a couch cushion, or a couple firm pillows that you can use to support your body or sit on. And then if you have blocks or a couple of large books, or sometimes a little footstool or a chair can even be a good substitute for some blocks, but that's what we'll be needing today. We're gonna start seated. So if you want to sit up on something, on some height, if you want to support underneath the outer edges of your legs with blankets or towels, feel free to grab some. You want to be in a position, if you need to lie on the floor to do this better, that's great too. We'll just take a couple of deep, full breaths. Big breath all the way in. Maybe we make a little noise on the way out. If you want, you can roll out your head and neck a little bit, just gentle, curious movements side to side. Good job, Franklin. It might feel good to move your torso around a little, so maybe like a little bit of a seated cat and cow, or making circles like you were stirring a pot. And then come back through center. Bring one hand down to the floor. I brought my left hand to the ground, but it doesn't matter which one you do. Walk it out to the side as you lift the opposite arm. You could keep your arm lower as well, so feel free to adjust whatever you need. And then see if you can sit down a little bit more through both sit bones. And a couple of deep full breaths. And then come on back up and over in the other direction. And crawl yourself over, lean to the side. And then come back through the middle. We'll take an easy twist. So if you need to change the cross of your legs or adjust how you're sitting, help yourself to that. And we'll rotate, let's go the same direction, to the right. Your left hand comes to your right leg or hip. Your right hand can come to the pillow you're sitting on or the floor. If you're by a wall, you could bring your right hand to the wall. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You could lift your right arm up into the air. That actually feels real good for me right now. I'm gonna stick with that. And then exhale, nice and slow, look forward, unwind your arms, and just take a moment through the center to maybe adjust or shift. And whenever you're ready, we'll go the other direction. So follow your own lead with that. You don't have to rush and take as much time as you want. The second side does not have to be the same as the first side. So if you want to do something different, maybe lifting an arm or trying something else on this side, Maybe not twisting as deep or going deeper, depending on what it feels like. And then whenever you're ready, look forward, unwind your chest and shoulders. Let's take a few deep breaths. And let's go up to hands and knees. We'll find a tabletop shape. So you can move some of your props out of your way, just nearby where we can use them in a little bit. I like to cushion my knees with a blanket when I'm on all fours. So if you have your towel or something you want to put underneath your little patellas, your kneecaps to support you. We'll end up with shoulders over the wrists and hips above the knees. For some spinal waves, some cat and cow. Melt your belly and chest towards the floor. Lift the top of your head towards the ceiling. Lift your tailbone. And then press the floor away. Arch your spine. Go the opposite direction. See if you can tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, round up. And then you're completely welcome to go back and forth as many times as you want or not. Maybe one of those actions didn't feel good for you. So feel free to do something different or, change it up. The idea with these cat and cows is that we're getting some big movement through the muscles in our spine. So it's not so much important exactly what we do right now, but just that we're using the opportunity to look and notice, which is really valuable. At least it is for me. Maybe for you too. From here, we're going to stretch back through the left leg. So toes tuck under on the mat, heel reaches towards the floor, but notice that like my shoulders shifted back. I'm going to reach them forward so that I'm right over my wrists still. That'll help my wrists feel better. And then I'm going to step my foot in a little, so shortening the stance a bit to get a little extra something. Try to reach the top of your head away from your tailbone. See if you can get a little bit longer here. And then come back through the middle, maybe shake out the wrists a little bit. That should be strengthening and stretching them, which might mean they need a break. That's okay. I've been playing a lot of piano lately, and my forearms and wrists are way more sensitive in down dog and in plank and in all these places that I've really had no wrist pain for a really long time. I found I need to just take a moment and stretch more. So never think that's because you're not good at it or that you're doing it wrong. It's just because wrists are complicated. So when we come back through center, let's see if we can keep the shoulders stacked right over the wrists as we step the right foot back behind us. Yeah, so I didn't have to do as much adjusting to get a better, for me, stretch here. And that might not be the same for you. You might still need to adjust something. So take a few breaths, help yourself. And then from here, flip your palms. When you come out of that shape, flip your palms so that your palms are facing up. Speaking of forearm stretching, I feel like why not? If this is too much, you can do one at a time or not at all. You can do a different wrist stretch. But I'm pressing my whole top of my hands into the mat, and then I'm sitting my hips back to add some stretch. It might feel good to shake it out a little bit after that. Maybe roll the wrists if that feels good. And then come back through tabletop. We're going to do that first side a second time. We're going to step the left foot back, try to keep the shoulders over the wrists. But this time we're going to swing the right foot, the bent knee leg, off the edge of the mat behind you like a little kickstand, so that you can spin the back leg down, flatten the foot, and lift your left arm, your top arm, anywhere you want. It could lift to your hip, hand to hip. Arm could come overhead. You could reach away from your foot. You can press the ground away a little bit. Oh, that's good. You can open or close your chest and shoulders. Some version of that might be enjoyable. And then we're gonna keep the legs the same. Bring the top leg, that's an arm. Bring your top arm down. Again, legs stay the same. Walk your hands towards the long edge of your mat. Towards me, I was gonna say, but I have no idea where you are. So, if you're lost, you can peek at me now. And so my long foot is in line with my knee. And I'm gonna walk my hands out. So it's like down dog or puppy pose in the upper back and shoulders. Then a little inner thigh stretch, outer hip stretch for the long leg. And then walk yourself back around. Feel free to take your time if there's any variations of that you know and love. There's like a whole sequence that I really love to teach and practice that lives near that shape. Yeah, we're just moving along today. So whenever you're ready to go to the second side, take as much time to get the shoulders stacked and the leg long. When you make your little kickstand and spin your foot to the floor, give your body permission to be different. I think we expect to have like an experience that we can kind of have. What am I trying to say? I think we just expect to know what's going to happen all the time. I don't know about you, but like turns out I have no idea what's ever going to happen ever. So it's weird to sometimes think and keep walking yourself around into that inner thigh stretch if you haven't already. It's weird to think that we can understand that concept out in the world, but in our bodies, we think, no, but in my body, I'm in charge. And, you are in charge of your body in that way that I think is so important to practice and appreciate and cultivate. But what happens inside of our bodies, we, most of the time, I think, are just along for the ride. So just take a moment. Maybe you're in child's pose. Maybe you're still in the inner thigh stretch. Maybe you're sitting back on your heels, or you could take down dog if that sounds like something you might be interested in. And just a few more breaths wherever you are. Okay, so we're going to take a twist. We're going to use our bolster or pillow for it. I'm going to sit on one of my blankets because I know I like that. And I'm going to have another blanket nearby in case I want to use it. And I'll show you what for in a second. So we're going to sit I'm sitting on my right outer hip with my right thigh touching the bolster. So that's what I'll cue. Again, it doesn't matter what side you do first because we're going to do both sides, but the directions might feel a little funky. So again, my pillow or bolster is touching my right hip. And then my legs are just bent off to the side. And so that's a place that you might want to put a blanket, is like underneath one or both of your knees to feel supported. One option here is to just lay down with your right side on the bolster. And that will feel probably pretty good, especially if you have any issues with rotation in your spine. This might be a better option to rest in. If that feels okay, or you already know you're looking forward to the twist, you're going to lower yourself down so that one arm is on either side of your bolster, and then lower your head, chest, and shoulders to the prop. Now, if the prop is too far away, you can prop it up. You can add blocks underneath the bolster, like a little stair step like that. Or you could add, oh yeah, and that's actually really nice for me today. Even though I could get to the bolster without the blocks, it doesn't mean I have to do it that way. I can do it the way I want to. So you could put a blanket, if I had more blankets, I would be using them under my belly, under my head, under my arms. So you want to make sure that you feel like you can relax into the props and into the floor. And sometimes that means like just accepting where we are, you know, like if you don't have a ton of props, it might be frustrating to, you know, to not feel completely held. And trust that your nervous system, it agrees with you. And so instead of trying to wish it was different, or, you know, maybe you had every prop you needed and your brain is still busy and you're still struggling to be in the pose, just remember that that fluctuation, that experience of yourself is just as much the practice as like a blissful out-of-body Shavasana experience. That any bit of you that you encounter when you're on the mat is worth paying attention to. And it doesn't mean that that's all the type of experience that we want to continuously cultivate, but it means that nothing you will feel or sense or know about yourself through your time on the mat will be like bad or wrong. Especially if it's hard. And especially if there's questions or doubt. And what's it like to sit with that? And if you want, you can try turning your head away from your knees. If that's not comfortable for your head and neck, it won't be worth sticking it out. So, you know, just wanted to offer it in case it did feel good. You can always turn your head back the other way. And we'll spend just a few more minutes here resting and breathing. And give yourself a couple more deep, full breaths. And then very slowly and gently help yourself up. Use your hands on the floor. Unwind slow. Generally speaking, after a twist like that, my instinct is to do a little bit of a forward fold. But that might not be what feels good in your body. So that you could do that. You could lay back on the bolster. You could just sit upright. And when you're ready to, we'll go the other way. So take just as much time and care to get set up in the second half of the pose as we gave ourselves in the first. That might mean changing where your props go or how tall they are. It might mean pausing the video and going and getting like another blanket or another pillow. You know, this side you might not do the full twist. You might still just lie with your side on the bolster. A couple more deep full breaths. I'm not counting minutes or anything, so I wasn't really sure how long I was there. That's one of the things about practicing restorative yoga while you teach it that's kind of funny. So if that was really short, stay longer. If that was really long, good for us. And again, if you want to take a little forward fold or just lie back on the bolster for a breath or two. Maybe you want to come to hands and knees or even come up to stand. Alright, so we are going to lie back on our bolster. You may want to leave it right where it is. You might need to adjust the height. So we're going to need our blankets rolled up or folded up to support under our outer legs for Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound angle pose. So that might mean rolling and folding your blankets a couple of times or getting them just right. But what I'd like to do to come into this pose, you bring your feet together and your knees apart. And then I kind of hold onto the bolster and fold and kind of waddle my butt back a little so that I'm right up on the bolster when I lie down. The blankets can go under your outer hips, under your thighs, under your ankles, wherever they feel most supportive. And then I hold on to the pillow or the prop as I lie myself down. So you want your head and neck to feel supported. You want your chin to be a little tucked if possible. So that might mean putting another pillow. Yeah, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use this like literal pillow. Oh, it was really good. So, you know, like I said, more props are never bad. And I'm trying to just teach with as few as possible to be as accessible as possible, which I know is still complicated. So let part of your practice be experimenting with just the concept. How can I offer myself more support, more comfort? Now, if your arms were hanging, my elbows felt like they were hanging a little, I scooted my blankets in so that I had more space to rest my arms. Just little stuff like that. And give yourself permission to take care of you. This is a very open, vulnerable shape with our chest and shoulders getting some support and opening, our hips and belly, our inner legs getting, some stretch. And so be gentle with yourself as you take some deep breaths. We'll be here for a little bit. And again, feel free to adjust. If you need to straighten your legs before I cue, please do. If you need to raise or lower the bolster at any time or change something, that's your practice. Noticing that you could use more support is more powerful, in my opinion, than like toughing it out in a shape that doesn't serve you in the moment you're in. It's really what we're looking for, those present moment experiences where our nervous system can relax, or our bodies can relax, and where like our thinking brains can try to relax. Notice your breath. If you want, you can breathe in and out through your nose, a little Ujjayi pranayama. You could do an equal parts breath and try to match the length of your exhale to whatever count your inhale offers. Or you could let the breath go completely. back to your breath. Breathe deep. And if you want, you can help your legs come back through center with your feet on the floor and your knees bent. Or you could straighten your legs. You might feel good to stretch or move anything that you want. And help yourself up. Okay. We're going to take another twist. So your rolled up towels or blankets, you're probably going to want to keep rolled up and nearby. Let's see. Okay. You're going to bring your pillow or couch cushion or blanket over to one side of your mat. Mine's on my left side of my mat. So, if you want to do that. Your second pillow or a blanket or something can be under your head. And then these blankets, I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to keep them on the right side of my mat. So again, bolster or big pillow on the left, extra blankets on the right, and then something for under your head or neck. So first, just lie down. Actually, before we do the twist, we're going to do a little stretching on our backs. So now that the props are set up, they'll be there when we need them. If you want, you could hug your knees towards your chest for some rocking around on the low back or moving side to side. You could not hold your legs and just let them move any way that you want to. Or windshield wiper your knees side to side. And then bring your knees on your feet flat on the floor, bend your knees, and cross your right ankle over the left leg for a figure 4 stretch. You could keep your left foot on the ground and press your ankle into your thigh to open your right hip away from your face. You could move a little bit side to side. This is a variation I'm quite fond of, is kind of just moving this shape a little bit. Of course, you could bring your knees towards your chest and hold behind your thigh or in front of your shin. The option to straighten your leg is there if you want to add a little hamstring stretch. But see if you can keep opening your top hip, even as you add things or change sort of the shape. See if you can still get some hip stretch. Switch sides when you're ready to. Take a few breaths somewhere neutral in between. When you do come into the second side, again, try not to expect it to be the same as the first side or the same as it used to be. And again, see if you can show up with where you are. You know, it might not be terrible. It might be great. I think sometimes we're afraid of what we're going to find because we assume the worst about our experience of our bodies or our muscles or our thoughts while we move. And I know one of the ways I'm usually surprised by myself is I don't know, the joyous things, the really satisfying things. You know, the ways I get curious about what's happening in the body are usually more scary to imagine than they are to experience, at least for me. And so once you've stretched your legs side to side in that figure 4 stretch, we're going to bring the right knee in towards the chest and the left leg down on the floor. Your left knee could be bent or straight, it doesn't really matter. We're just gonna play around with moving the right thigh bone, your femur bone, which is this long upper leg bone, around. You can hold the leg anywhere you want. You could use a strap or a belt or a scarf if you've got one here. You're more than welcome to straighten your right leg if you want to hold behind your thigh, or maybe even take like a half happy baby pose if that's calling your name. And then rebend your right knee if you straightened it. And we're gonna roll, we're gonna use the left hand to bring the right leg over to the left. So you're gonna roll to the left. I even like scoot myself all the way onto the left outer edge of my leg and body. And I'll move the bolster so that my whole shin and thigh is supported. I don't want my foot hanging, I don't want my knee hanging. If your knee is lifted, you can put a block or a blanket like under the bolster to bring it closer to you. That might feel good. And then from here, you could just stay here if this is a good place to be. Or you can open your right arm behind you. And this is where I bring these blankets into play. So you can kind of put them like under your shoulder, along your back, under your arm or hand. You want to find a place again where the body feels like it's being held, where when your nervous system knows that the ground is nearby, it can switch to your more rest and digest type of experience. If your body thinks you're falling, it's going to stay in that more like fight or flight mode. It's going to stay with being ready to catch you. And so when I offer myself props, a lot of the times I'll say to myself, like, I'm offering myself this blanket so that my arm can relax. Like, I'll get really literal in my own practice, in my brain. Because sometimes I feel like it helps to name it, to be like, this isn't because I'm weak, it's not because I'm not flexible, it's not because of any of these, like, I don't know, kind of negative thought pattern loops that are really easy to get on the mat. Instead, it's like, oh, like, I'm taking care of these different parts of me in ways that are about support, about relaxation, and that have nothing to do with any value of my my parts or my person, other than like I deserve to be supported, I deserve to rest, just like everyone does, just like you do. And so we'll spend just a few more minutes in this pose resting. If paying attention to your breath is helpful, you can tune back into that. Another breath pattern I've been doing a lot of lately is inhaling to a count of 10, holding the breath for 3 counts, and then just letting it all go. And then that's supposed to help our lung capacity stay robust. So maybe that's something you're interested in, maybe you just want to take a little nap. Either way, just let yourself be held. couple more deep, full breaths. Well, before you move your legs, bring your open arm, your right arm if that's the one it is, over back to meet the left one so that you're still on the bolster but you're less twisted. And just take a few breaths there. Extend out through the top leg and then roll onto your back. You might have to move props out from under you a little. And take a few breaths just on your back, on the ground. And we'll switch sides. So I like to pretend when I move my props to the other side that it is part of the pose. You know, just in that reminder that we don't need to hassle ourselves. We don't have to rush to move the props. I'm like staying on my back while I'm doing this. I'm not really like moving much. And you can move. You can totally sit up and move the props if that makes more sense. Whenever you're ready to, we'll bring our left knee into the chest once your props are set up, and just start by moving the left leg around in the hip side. Again, there might be a straighten and bend of the knee that feels good. A little half happy baby. And then rebend your left knee if it was straight. Roll to the right. Oh. Scoot all the way over onto your right side. And then again, move, where's my block? Move your bolster so that you feel like you don't have to do any work to rest on the prop. Like I propped it up a little bit here. That might be a little tall. I'm gonna scoot it back a little bit. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm gonna scoop my blankets underneath my shoulder and back so that my shoulder blade has something to rest into. And bring the other blanket under my arm and wrist so that my hand isn't just hanging. And feel free to adjust the pillow or blanket under your head and neck. Of big full breaths in and out just to remind your body that we're held and relaxed and we don't have to hold the breath. We'll just spend a few minutes here. couple more full deep breaths. Again, I'm in the pose myself. I really don't know exactly how much time has passed, so let that be all the more permission to decide if you'd like to stay or start to transition out of the pose. Because it really, the perfect amount of time is what you feel, not what I say or what the clock says necessarily. And so however you want to come onto your back, once you're ready to, and take any movements that feel good, windshield wipering the knees or hugging the knees in. And again, if you're still in the twist, you can just stay and breathe. It might feel nice to do a happy baby pose or something like that. We're going to set up for Shavasana, for a final rest and relaxation pose of class. I always like to have something under my knees when I rest on my back to support the low back. But you don't have to. You could lay with your legs up on the couch or on your side. If you're in that twist and you're comfortable, you could stay there. I'm going to cover myself up with one of my blankets because it's just what I'm feeling right now. Making sure that we're warm. If you have an eye pillow or a scarf to cover your eyes for Shavasana, that helps with relaxation. We'll get ourselves comfortable on the floor. Definitely support your head and neck with a blanket or a pillow if you've got one. And even if you don't got one, maybe you've got like a long sleeve shirt you could roll up behind your head. A second yoga mat rolled up sometimes is a great prop. Couple of deep breaths in and out. Again, just to remind yourself that there's nothing to do but be here and breathe. And start to deepen your breath. And however it feels good, just start inviting movement back into your body. Just take a few moments to explore whatever those are. Stretching, hugging in, reaching out. And then roll all the way over to one side for a couple of breaths. Maybe even curl up in a little ball, that might feel good. Use your hands on the ground to press up to an easy seated position. And you can let your hands rest in your lap or on your legs, maybe somewhere in front of your heart. Thank you all so much for sharing some time with you and with me and with each other wherever we are. Thanks so much, yogis. Have a good rest of your day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Bye.